Hi, folks. Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, when and wherever you may be. Just hope you are safe, please. Now, as you can see by the title of the video, today I'm going to be talking about the No Kings protests and its effects. Now, first of all, let me just start by saying this. I think everyone that went out and protested was absolutely right to do so. I am glad that more or less with the usual events. It went without any kind of violence. That people were civil, all of that. However, I cannot not say that I don't see any effects of it. None. The government continues to demolish the White House to make some kind of ballroom, I guess. I don't really know it very well because I think it's so utterly ridiculous. Since the first day that they poured concrete on the rose garden, and and all of the little things he's been doing, like putting gold everywhere, making the White House look like some kind of cheap whorehouse bordello. It's pretty much very cringe, very ridiculous, and in my view, and I'm a 1980s kid, okay. I was a kid during the 80s with all that entails. The way that the president and his government think, it embodies all of the bad things of the 80s. You know, the greed, the self-entitlement, unjustified self-entitlement, the futility, the frivolous way of thinking, of acting. It encompasses all of that. Okay. So all the bad things. It doesn't have, for example, the innovation, the joie de vivre, the the embracing new things, embracing change. You know, it doesn't. He doesn't have any of it. Okay, it's just like that movie with Michael Douglas, The Wolves of. I think it was with Michael Douglas, The Wolves of Wall Street or some shit like that. Okay, an American Psycho. It's all the worst things you can have in a so-called capitalist state. Okay, it doesn't have that the finesse, the way of thinking about things, of doing things. It's all the worst. The greed, the dirty greed, the cringy way. Look, you want to know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of those villains from those cheap 1980s teenage movies. Okay, that is exactly what he reminds me of. Okay, except for the fact that he is old as fuck. You know, sorry to say this, but it's true, man. Because there are people that grow old and they keep their minds normal. I would not say young, because there are experienced people, but they keep their minds young. Look, Bernie Sanders is a perfect example of that. Okay, the man is old, real old, really old, but that mind still works better than many younger minds. But there are other people that fall into that register of nothing and just keep on going. Now, I'm also seeing a lot of signs of mental incapability. I'm also seeing a lot of the typical impatience you will find in someone that is losing their faculties and feels irritated with himself and with the world, which is natural. But I don't see a person that has the ability to be the president of the United States. But, you know, like I said before, this president, this government, look, they are just a symptom of a disease that is already there. Okay. And he's still doing whatever he wants to do, okay? He now I think the latest one is that he ended all commercial negotiations with Canada. He's striking. He doesn't want to go to Congress and explain uh, why he is hitting so-called cartel leaders. I think in Venezuela or some shit like that. He doesn't do absolutely anything of that. He doesn't he doesn't obey the courts. He doesn't obey the law. And you have people like Steve Bannon saying that he's going to be president again in 2028 or some shit like that. You keep having these things, and meanwhile, you have a 79-year-old man with a lot of issues, health issues. And look, and if he had those health issues, but it did not hinder his mental capability of dealing with the problems of a president, look, that would be absolutely normal. Okay, Roosevelt was in a wheelchair. Okay, that isn't the point. The point is are people capable of doing the job or not. And and I keep saying this. Okay, I love to see the No Kings protest. I love to see all of that, but I really don't see any practical effects of it, okay? Because things are still the same. Look, he's still ranting on in his media. He is still doing everything against the law without caring. He is still destroying the position of the United States in the world stage. Look, basically things are still the same. And then I turn on the American media and so-called left-wing American media. I don't think you even know what left and right is. This is my opinion. Okay, and I keep seeing them patting themselves in the back. Look, if this movement does not transform itself into a full-blown civil disobedience and a massive removal of voting in the Republican Party, if that does not happen, and right now, while we still have the momentum, not tomorrow, it will be absolutely useless. You will be protesting all the way down to the authoritarian regime when someone will arrive, kick you in the head, and you will fall back into line with the rest of them. Okay, this is no theater. American street politics, like if it was a theater. Okay, like you are acting or something, some dumb idea like that. No, around here, for example, when we protest, when we strike, we do it for a reason. There is a purpose behind it. There is a plan. There is something behind it. And here you are just, oh, the president can do this. Okay, and the president says, haha, but I will do it. And he does it. Right now, the man is demolishing a part of the White House to build a ballroom. Right now, the man has said publicly that all negotiations with Canada are off. The man first said, I'm going to give tomahawks to Ukraine. Then he said he was not going to do it. Now he sanctioned Russia. No one knows what the hell is going on in his head and in the head of the people that are near him. He was not going to tariff China. Now he's tariffing China. Okay, he was not going to bail out the farmers. Now apparently he will bail them out, even if that does not have any practical effect, because with his tariffs, with his external policy, with all that that is being done, the US simply does not have those market shares to sell their products. Look, what is the uselessness? Why? What is the use of, for example, a farmer that cannot sell his sorghum or whatever, or soybeans, whatever, or beef? I don't know anything. He cannot sell that, and the government says, "Oh, okay, my friend, here you are, some compensation for the products that you cannot sell." Okay, and now what? To whom or to where are they going to sell their products? Are Americans suddenly start to eat the same way a Chinese person eats, or to have the same uses for soybeans that the Chinese country, the country of China has for their soybeans? Reason why they have to buy more, they plant it and they buy it because of the large population that they have, and the many uses that they do of the or with soybeans. Now what? You know what the farmers are going to do? First of all, many of them are just going to go bankrupt. Okay, they will maybe sell off a big chunk of their land that will be bought off by big companies like the one Mr. Vance has a part in it. Okay, oh, you didn't know? Look into it. And they will and that land will be developed by those companies that will do whatever they want, real estate, even farming, industrial farming, to produce whatever, because a big company can produce to sell inside of the country, for example. Even if they can't export, they can flood the market with cheap food. But that won't be cheap, because then you don't have enough manpower to pick up the crops, and machines and AI. Let me tell you this: they will never be able to do everything that a human being does. There are some things you need people to do, and more than that, we have to see to which point using AI and data centers and all of that crap is profitable and useful for us. People don't seem to have a slightest idea of how much energy, how much resources, including water, that the data center uses, consumes. And to what point is it profitable to have that data center producing whatever it produces, okay, consuming all of those resources? To what point is that needed, okay? Because this the only way. Look, I read this in Forbes, in Reuters, in European agencies, even in the International Fund. I read this and they say this: the only thing that is sustaining the American GDP is the AI bubble, and it's going to bust, because this is how these things work. This is just the first generation, and they are investing hard. But instead of investing in innovation, like China is doing, like Europe is doing, for example, meaning you are not going to stay in that first stage of development. You are going to say, okay, I reached this. And then you are not going to try to immediately profit off it. You are going to innovate. And you are going to create AI that is quicker, that is smarter, and that consumes less resources, less data centers, okay? More effective programming, for example. Whatever, okay? Look into it, and listen to experts, don't listen to me. No, you are still staying in this part. Exactly like the social media, this is why the United States is falling behind. And with all of these restrictions they are putting into their own media companies, like for example what we find here in YouTube, what is going to happen is that other platforms will replace them. And I'm seeing all of this happening. Look, each day, imagine this. Each day, imagine the United States you're in a video game and it has an energy bar. Okay? And imagine this. Each day, you are losing an energy point. And your character in the game is getting weaker and weaker. This is exactly what is happening. So, this does not mean, like I said in other videos when I talked about economy and the dollar and all of that, this does not mean, and this is probably, okay, I'm not a mind reader, okay, I don't see into the future, I'm not no Nostradamus, I'm just talking about what I can see and the facts that I can create um, conclusions, not conclusions, let's call it something else. Create probable events of. So what I am seeing is that this is not going to be quick, my friend. Okay, you are not going to go from point zero from 100 to zero in one day. Okay, these things will take time. Just look at the UK. It's taking a long time. But each year, their economic situation is worse. And then I hear people saying about, oh, but our GDP is still larger than Germany. Okay, don't you understand what GDP is? GDP is the total amount of wealth. So you have more rich people than Germany. This is the only thing you are telling me when you talk about GDP. But go and see the conditions of someone in the lower and middle class in Germany and then compare it to the United Kingdom. Compare the number of people that are homeless, that have issues with job and addiction and all of that in Germany, and then compare it to the United Kingdom. And don't mingle the immigrant population into it, because that is also a different subject. Go and compare this. Go and compare the normal guy that I don't know works in a city hall, driving a lorry or driving a bus or something like that. How much money does that person need to satisfy their needs, and how much a person in an equivalent situation in the United Kingdom uh, needs to survive. Go ask any German if they had to choose between heating their houses or having a meal. Go and ask them. You see, GDP is a big lie. Look, until recently, Russia had a big GDP. Okay, Russia sanctioned in war, and people keep talking about this GDP shit, and I don't know what they're talking about. Look, it's like this. Imagine this. Imagine that your neighbor, he earns $100,000 a year. Okay, and you earn $5,000 a year. And without making an average, because they don't, they are going to add up the entire GDP, and the GDP will be $105,000. That is the GDP. How does that make your life, you that are earning the $5,000, better? Can you afford the same things as your neighbor? Do you have the same financial stability as your neighbor? You don't. GDP is a lie. GDP is only good to understand that a country that has a high production of wealth. Yes, but it does not go into other factors like inflation, like salaries, like housing, like employment, like healthcare. Okay, it doesn't go into those areas in which you can actually ascertain how people live in that country. For God's sakes, you go to Brazil, for example, and you have a lot of rich people in the top, incredibly rich. They are rich there. They are rich in Europe. Okay, they are rich in Australia. They are rich everywhere. Rich people, and some of them are stupidly rich, just like in the United States. Then you have a tiny middle class, and you have a huge class of low class people. And remember this, it has been improving over the years. It's not as bad as it once was, but it's still bad. And if you don't believe me, well, go and ask a Brazilian like I did. Go and ask him, okay? And you have this situation, okay? And do you want the same for the United States? Because that is the route you are going. You are going to have an oligarchy of. Look, I'm going to be blunt with you. I think you already have this situation. Hmm? I think you already have this situation. It's not as pronounced as in down the border, down south of the border, but you already have this situation. A group of people that are stupidly rich and that are doing everything in their power to profit off the government. This is what is happening. If you go into the news right now, the latest one is that Trump is going to get to $290 million out of the Dodge Saint situation. Go and Google it or go on YouTube and watch it. Okay, they are talking about it. Don't let me tell you. You go and see. These people are getting rich. Okay, Trump wants to put his kid's son, okay, as an executive in TikTok or whatever. Don't you understand what is happening? These people, they are getting richer and richer and richer. And meanwhile, they tell you things like, for example, you're the greatest country in the world, okay? And they also tell you fantasies like this one that if we protest, they will behave and things will go back to normal. Are you that naive? I'm not calling violence. Look, I would never do such a thing because, in my view, violence doesn't solve absolutely anything. Okay, violence only creates more violence, and sooner or later, more problems will come out of it. But civil disobedience, especially if organized, it works. I'll give you an example. This week, here in Portugal, we have been striking. Okay, not going to talk about myself, but we have been striking here because the government is not listening to what people are telling him, and it's working. It works. They are going to sit at the table and they are going to discuss things with us. And us, that are the citizens, won't get everything that we want, okay, but we will get something. And we will get their attention to take care of this business. People have been protesting about housing, for example, and about tourism. And behold, the government already put up a plan to deal with it. The different parties, have all presented their propositions to try and solve the situation. They are already talking about it. You want to know why? Because they know we better solve this or shit is going to hit the fan. Because there are consequences. And the worst thing you can do is disobey. Disobey. And disobedience does not mean you riot and you pillage and you kill people and you no no no. It means you do not cooperate with the state. They want you to, for example, tell your neighbors to that are immigrants or whatever to call ICE and have them removed like that idiot did with the Korean factory in Illinois. You don't do this, okay? The president wants attention. You don't give him the attention. You ignore him. You laugh at him. You mock him. You mock these people. Your congressperson isn't, even if it's a Republican, he's not doing his job. Then you constantly harass him with letters, with asking for explanations, and even if they don't give a hell, you continue to do it. And next time, you don't vote for them. You vote in anyone, even if the guy in the other side is some kind of furry that likes to do rallies, calling out people to vote him dressed as a wolf. You vote in that guy. You vote in him. You don't vote in your congressperson. You vote Democrat. Okay? This civil disobedience implies this. Civil disobedience means things like me, that I was in a situation in which I did it, which was simply not to cooperate. There was a situation right now during the latest elections, the municipal elections, the greatest party was abstention, meaning people that refused to vote because they did not like the parties or the candidates. They were the biggest winners of these elections. And do you think they did not listen to? One of the reasons why people didn't vote is because of questions like this one, like housing. Housing for everyone. Healthcare that is having issues. It works, but it has issues. So you have to correct them. I pay taxes for you to take care of things. Okay? And I don't want privatized services. I don't want that. I want my taxes to be worth something. I want my taxes to give me cleaner environment, healthcare, housing, everything that we need. And not just for me, for my neighbor too. And this is the key issue in America. You, with your protests, you choose to ignore. You do a theater, okay? It's like a Hollywood movie. And I'm sorry for being critical about it, but I have to say this, okay? Remember, I'm giving my opinion. I do not question the righteous intention of these people that are protesting. I question the what comes after that, what comes with this, which is a resolve. You cannot just go take a weekend and go and protest. No, you have to do it constantly. Every time you see a nice truck pass by, you have to criticize him. You have to film him. You have to call him out. You have to document what he is doing. You have to go to the police and present a complaint. Even if they won't do fucking anything, it will be recorded there. Someone, someone in the future will read that and he will see that police A or police B did not took into account your complaint. It's the same thing I say people here. You go to a public service, you are not well treated, you think something is wrong, even if in reality there is nothing wrong, you don't complain about the employee. You complain about the way the services work. Around here, whenever some service that public service that I go to, that I use, does not work correctly, I do not complain about the employees, because the employees, the public officers, the doctor, the nurses, whatever, the person, the tax officer person, the person that is behind that desk, he's following orders and he's working with what he has. And unless that person is bluntly impolite and unprofessional with me, I'm not going to complain about them. I'm going to complain about the services. And I write it down. Because we have to do that. Civil disobedience is not just No. Oh, and protest. No, it's not just that. It's the ability the citizen has to constantly question the state. For example, each time Mr. Trump says, I'm going to tariff Canada, you complain. Even if it's 100 people, 500 people, you all go onto social media. You create your own media if you need. You create a bloody YouTube channel like I did here, and you talk to a camera. And you go into that and you complain. You spread it. It's the only way to question. The only way, look, the only way the anonymous citizen has to spread the word is to unite with other people. It's the only way. You have a group that owns the resources, that owns the government, so to speak. Only if you are united, you can question their power and you can make them bow down. Around here, we have PR elections, proportional representation, and it's an excellent way of calling politicians out. Around here in Portugal, for example, the Socialist Party did a lousy job, did a lousy job in the last period of their governance. They got kicked so hard in the elections, they are now the third political force here. They were always the second or the first. Them and the Social Democrats. And now we allowed the Social Democrats to form the government, but they are forced to negotiate with the other parties. Because this is how we like it. When I hear an American say things like, for example, oh, the French government fell. If we had that same system, then the things would happen. No, my friend. You want to know what I see when I look at France? You see instability. I see democracy working. Because democracy means that we force the bastards that are in parliament to talk with themselves, to listen to every opinion that is represented by the people that we elect, and we force them to reach an understanding. And we force them to make things work. And at least in Europe, even when the government falls, state services continue to work. Police, police, army, public officers, everyone gets paid. Hospitals, everything continues to work. Nothing stops working. The only thing they cannot do is, for example, great public works, policy changes. They cannot do that until there is an elected government. But other than that, everything works. Okay, our army staff doesn't need to go into a food bank to get some food, like we saw in the United States. Army people go to eat, and we don't despise our veterans like you do. Your government, it doesn't give a crap about the veterans. Your your service dodging president laughed at them. They are fools. And you elected him, okay? You elected him. It's your problem, okay? Everything that he is doing, anyone that voted for him or did not went to vote, you are a part of the problem. You are co-responsible for everything that is happening. And I will say this again, the current government in the United States of America and the current situation in the United States of America is not a phenomena that just happened to occur right now. It's a symptom of the disease that you need to deal with. Okay, and I am going to talk about this in other videos because, as you can see now, I'm not going to shut up. No more fancy videos, no more sayings that you can copyright me on, whoever you are. whatever is your reasons, just plain facts in words that can be fact checked. Fact check everything I said. For example, fact check that Mr. Trump has not said that all negotiations with Canada are ended. Fact check me when Mr. Vance said Europeans were parasites. Fact check me, please. And you will see. And don't come around with me, oh, that's the left wing. That's the left wing media. No, I heard it from media that supports the right wing agenda, that supports the left wing agenda, and independent media that doesn't give a crap about it. In fact, the first time I heard about these parasite things, I was listening to Japanese international TV in English. So, ironically, the first time I heard about this, I was taking a look at Japanese news because I sometimes like to take a look at them too. Well, I'm sorry for ranting. I'm sorry if I was a bit loud, but I had it in my mind that I had to talk about this. And I will tell you this: if this No King's protest, if it does not evolve to something else, to a civil disobedience, to a political movement, it's not going to serve absolutely anything. And even if you get rid of the current presidency, you will still have the same problem. The problem is still there because the problem is the people. It starts with the lack of education. It continues with a lack of understanding of the world, of human relations. It has so different areas, like for example, uh, the religious zealotry, uh, the 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 racism, the simple inability of not being selfish. A lot. Look, I don't want to go into this, or else we are going to be talking about this for another hour. Okay, I'm going to end this video here, and I'm just going to say this. In this Newswatch episode, I just want to say that the No Kings protest is very well and dandy. I support the people that went out and showed their opinion, but unless it turns into something else, it's going to be just a footnote in the history books that will only be known outside of the United States, because in the United States itself they will do the same thing like they are doing in some other places in the United States, which is to burn books and hide history. They are burning books, and you know this, I know this, and I know there's been some backlash, but as long as you have this system, this way of thinking, that I will protest, and then at the end of it, oh, okay, I will do it. As long as you have this type of mindset, nothing will change. As long as you don't persist in it, as long as you don't lose. Have you ever been kicked in the head in a manifestation? I have, and I'm a very calm and non-violent person, despite my looks. Okay, I'm a very calm person. I don't ever scream with anyone. I don't ever try to hit anyone. But even I protesting in a situation that I won't talk about it, I got kicked too, and it's not nice. It's both damaging to your ego and also to your resolve. But you just have to pick yourself up, clean up the dust, and keep doing it. You just don't react with the same type of violence, because this is what he wants: to call in the Insurrection Act in 2026, These are the rumors that he is spreading. But you know, these are the same tactics the Nazis and Hitler used to do before they reached complete and utter power. They would launch ideas, and those ideas would stay in the collective mind. And when they happened, they were already expecting it to happen. People had already given up when they took off absolute power. They were patient. They boiled the frog. They took it slow. And this is exactly what these people are trying to do. Before he was elected, Project 2025, it was already out. Interesting, isn't it? And right now you have people like Stephen Bannon say that Trump will be president again in 2028. Do you see a pattern? Do I have to spell it out for you? And now, what remains to see is how will the public and the institutions and the Democrats also in the United States, how will they react to this? Are they going to do another No Kings protest, fist in the air and frogs and furries and whatever that are extremely funny, that mock the idiocy, or the stupidity of the government and all of that? Or is it going to be transformed into an actual political force that continuously questions and forces the institutions to do it? Just look at this thing about the strikes that Trump ordered. He said that he would inform Congress about it, when in fact he could only do it with the approval of Congress. And he did it, and now he's going to inform you. Okay? Just like what happened to a lot of migrants that were jailed and sent off to abroad, and maybe with them a lot of American citizens also went. Apparently, it's true. First, he did it, then he presented it. That is the same thing as I slapping you in the face, okay, and then giving you a bill for the slap in the face. Even though I could not slap you in the face, I slap you in the face, so now you have to pay me for slapping you in the face. It's the absolutely same shit. And this only shows institutions that are not working. And you will say, oh, because he has the Republicans have Congress and this and that. Republicans, people have the Congress. There are even Republican Congress people, congressmen and congresswomen that are withdrawing their support from the Republicans because they are seeing what is happening and they want to keep their job. They want to keep receiving their pay. And you have to punish these people. You have to punish them all. You punish them in the polls. You don't vote for them. You mock everyone that votes for him. You call them out. If one of your neighbors is a Trump supporter, you pick up your grocery bill and you stick it in his face and say, "Is this cheaper?" I saw a guy showing a can of coffee that he used to purchase for around $3 and something, that now was $17, almost $18. He also showed a piece of beef that used to cost, I think, around $5 or some shit like that, and it was 22, sorry, the years, $22. I saw an American tourist showing how much lower the value of the dollar to the euro is right now. When he went into he made the exchange of the money just to show it, And then he showed that to us in the video. Don't you realize? Don't you watch and you say, "Oh, that's a tourist. He should pay more." There's a lot of places to do tourism in America. Okay, I also watched a video of someone claiming that Vegas was just fine. And you want to know what that remind me of? That remind me of something that sometimes falls into my algorithm, which is Russian pretty women showing everything is nice and dandy in Russia. Oh, look at this huge supermarkets. Oh, look, everyone in the street. Everything is all right. And those type of videos are popping up in the American newsfeed about America. Meaning someone or some group is sending out these videos into your feed. Of course, me, but YouTube now it's very funny. Even if you don't, even if you write it down as don't recommend this channel, a month later they are trying to pump it up into your feed again, which is extremely funny in my opinion. And it really tells me a lot about why some videos are copyrighted, why some videos are shadow banned, okay? Because if you don't want to watch my videos because I look like some kind of mobster or some shit like that, my friend, all good. Or you don't like the way I talk, you don't like the way I speak about things and my opinions, absolutely good on you. You don't like it, you don't watch it. But to be persecuted like some other YouTubers are being persecuted clearly in this platform, when I then watch things like this one. Imagine this: Russia is completely, almost, let's call it, banned from Europe. I could not give a crap about what is happening in Moscow. In my opinion, if you are invading Ukraine and you are bombing civilians and taking land and raping people, you don't like to hear this, right? Raping, killing, okay, not unaliving people. If if you are doing this, I don't give a crap about what happens in your country. As far as I am concerned, you can go into Siberia and freeze to death. Either act as a civil nation or f off. Okay, but these people, they can say everything they want. You can go into YouTube and make the most racist rant in your entire life. You can complain about everything. You can talk badly about everything and everyone, and no one will bother you, and you will get excellent views because I see it. Okay, I use alias. I go into other feeds, to algorithms that are not mine, so to speak, and then I see it, and these people are earning money with it. Mine, look, this channel is not monetized, and as far as and at least for the foreseen future, I will never monetize this site, this channel, because my sole purpose here is to talk with people and make them think. That is all. I don't want you to agree with me in 100% in everything. I want you to think. I want you to see things as they are. I want you to look at an event, but really look at it and see what is happening. Do you think it's normal for your government to allow illegals to work in your country? And I'm not talking about criminals. I'm talking about the people that is serving you dinner at the restaurant or in the taco stand, okay, or the people that are at the butcher factories, or that are in the factories, or that are in the fields, in farming, in cattle ranching, whatever. I'm talking about these people. They are working. They are making a living, and they don't have health care. No, they don't, unless they go to some doctor and they pay him for the services, full pay. They cannot vote, so stop that shit also. And I have a feeling that most of them are too tired at the end of the day or of a day of working, mm, to be criminals in their spare time. And your government, instead of going after, for example, the people that are smuggling them into the United States and enslaving them in the United States, enslaving them, that's the correct word. No, they make raids at farms, at neighborhoods where they know the people that are working in the city are living. Okay, they go into the courts where people are trying to take care of their legalization process and all of that. This is all they're doing. Okay, they arrest European tourists on the border because they have a GD Vance meme in their phone. They go into their social media. They threaten Canadian people. Tourists have died in ICE custody. And you all think this is very nice and very good. Do you have the courage to tell me you still support this government after all they have been doing? You're going to say? Well, that is all lie. I've seen it in German, French, Spanish, Portuguese, British news, Canadian news, Japanese news, Brazilian news. I have seen thousands, I won't say thousands, I'm exaggerating, hundreds or dozens, whatever you want to call it, of these events, all reported in different languages and in different ways. Und jawohl, ich verstehe Deutsch. Et oui, je parle français aussi. Et sí, también hablo y comprendo castellano. And a couple of more. I understand it because I was lucky enough to have parents that made me learn it. Okay? Despite the point. Sorry. I went a bit off. But unless you turn these protests into something, into a movement, and in my view, the best way to do it right now, even if you don't like them, even if you don't like them that much, is to move your support massively to the Democrats. Look, if they don't do everything that they said they would, after that you can think about it. Right now, you need to focus on getting rid of these people. And getting rid of them means putting people in power that will dismantle this entire system. Do you have any idea how much money you are losing? And how much money is being siphoned into ICE and into the pockets of all of these people that are ruling your country? You are not being governed. You are being ruled. You have a king right now because he does whatever the hell he wants to do. And when I mean him, I'm not attacking the person per se. I'm attacking the behavior and the entire movement that is behind him. Like I said in the beginning, he is just the visible symptom of the disease that is in the state. And don't think Europe is some kind of utopia. Do not think that we don't have some of those issues here too. This is a global event. And when not just Europe, South America, India, even China, we are all suffering from the same virus. That is a virus that is a lack of education, a lack of common sense, a lack of humanity and a lack of pragmatism. Unless we as a species evolve out of this, we are going to be extinct. We are going to burn the world one way or another, and we will disappear, and nature will find another species to evolve and replace us, because we are not irreplaceable. Even if you say man was made at the image of God, even if you say that, even if you believe in that way, that will not change the simple fact that we are all carbon based life forms, that we are evolved sentient apes, that we are in a ball of dirt in the middle of nowhere, rolling across the sun. That is a fireball. There is there is no ice wall in the polar caps. There is no conspiracy. There is no nothing of that shit. We are living in a real world, in a physical, in a physical world. And I bet there are a lot of people saying, oh, a demon is talking to him. No, fuck off. I am speaking from what I can see, from what I can perceive. I will accept anything as long as you prove it to me physically. Prove to me the existence of it. I too have witnessed things I cannot completely explain, and I accept it. But I don't use that to create theories and narratives to explain what I do not know how to explain, to fill in that gap that scares me. I accept my fear. I accept my ignorance of not understanding some things in my world, in the world I live in. I accept all of that. I accept being fearful, not fearful, but being nervous about not knowing if there is something after death. I don't know, maybe because I was also raised pagan, I have an understanding of both worlds, of the Christian, Abrahamic world, whatever you want to call it, world, the pagan world. And one thing that is common is this: change is inevitable. You cannot stop change. The only thing you can do is to adapt your culture, adapt things, and continue to exist, continue to evolve if you can. Continue to evolve, continue to be different. And what the United States has hit right now, you want to know what it is? It's not a changing point, it's a stagnation. And that stagnation, look, it's like water that you leave it for too long in the surface. It rottens. Okay? This is the exact situation. Rotten stagnation. And then the disease begins to surface. Well, what a rant. Well, I'm sorry for my rant. I hope this video was not that cumbersome. Don't get offended, because there is no reasons for getting offended. As I said, I just hope this makes you think a bit about it. And if you're offended because I am saying that unless it develops into something, this No Kings movement is useless, if you are offended by that, you are perfectly entitled to it. But this is my opinion. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope to see you all in the next one.